Hey there, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, teachers, anybody involved in providing education, learning experiences to kids in the midst of the COVID situation. I just wanted to share uh, a major component, unit, I guess we could call it, in what I'm calling the Crawdad curricula. And we started off with crawdads. My girls, my third and fourth grader, started off with that. And I'm presenting this to you as an example of what you can do with your kids. And you may want to inspire, you may want to start with crawdads, you may want to start somewhere else. But we started with crawdads primarily because, well, number one, I thought, well, what can the girls really get interested in? What can they really get engaged in right now in this whole situation? And I thought, first of all, about sustenance. That is, what are we going to eat if if there's supply chain situations, etc. And one of the first things that came to mind was actually crawdads, because we live close to a little lake and we go walking around there regularly. And so I happen to know from previous experience in Colorado that there are probably crawdads in that lake. And so I said to the girls, why don't we start trying to do some crawdad fishing? And they were really excited about that. And so we went on our first outing. We didn't catch any crawdads, but as I began thinking about it, what I could share with them that's significant, um, well, in terms of practical working out of getting the permission to fish, is I told the girls, well, hey, before we can fish, I have to get a license. And so they were interested in that question. And so I shared with them that in the state of Colorado, crawdad fishing is regulated and that you have to get a license to go crawdad fishing. And so we were able to discuss the difference between a driving test or driver's license, which requires a driving test, and a fishing license, which does not require a test. And what's the difference between those two things? And then, since we are in the domain of law and the way law relates to fish and game, it came to mind that at one time in human history, politically speaking, the game belonged to the rulers, to the king specifically, or the prince, the local local leader, whoever he was. But back in those days, or she, but mainly he, yeah. In those days, wasn't too many she's in charge. There's guys in charge, kings, princes, dukes, duchesses, well, dukes mainly. But anyhow, that it was considered that all the land belonged to the king, and therefore all the game, that is fish and animals, on the land, belonged to the prince. And so the I raised the issue with the girls about, well, how's that different, today? Why does the governor of Colorado think that he can make me get a fishing license so I can take you two girls crawdad fishing? And by the way, you don't have to have a crawdad license. So obviously they were very interested in all these aspects of the law, believe it or not, because they related to something they really wanted to do, which was go crawdad fishing, and I had to get a license before we could do it. And so it gave me the opportunity to talk about national politics, because I said, one of the big differences between today and those days back when the kings were in charge of, owned the land, were in charge of everything, got to make all the rules. Today, here in this country, we are not supposed to be operating under kings or anybody that gets to make decisions on their own. We have a system that says that these people, the governor of the state of Colorado, the president of the United States, are supposed to be actually serving us and working for us and working for the interest of society. And so why would the governor of the state of Colorado really want to regulate the fishing of crawdads? And Sophie said, well, for the people who live in Colorado. I said, that's right. People who want to go fishing. Well, no, actually, pardon me. Sophie said for the animals. She was concerned about, the law protecting the animals. I said, well, that's right. That's right. Yeah. We wouldn't want to kill off all the crawdads or all the deer or anything like that. And then I added in that also it was in the interest of the residents of the state of Colorado, who would like to make sure that there's crawdads and fish and game to hunt and fish around, and that not just one or one or two or three or four or a dozen rich people get to fish it all out or hunt it all out. And we got to talk about how the rivers, actually, and the water and the fish and the game, and they do not belong to the person who owns the property. Uniquely, that the hunting license is in place, the fishing license is in place, even though we may own some land that has a lake on it, or a river on it, or a stream on it. And so, wow, we were just really getting down into the nitty-gritty there in law. And I was able to point out to them that one of the things that makes this system work pretty well in the United States is a system of laws that says, not only can I not go out and fish out all the crawdads or shoot all the deer, but also the governor of the state of Colorado doesn't get to make rules that says that he owns all the crawdads. He's there to serve us. And likewise, the president of the United States needs to be under control of law, and he can't just go around making up rules that are actually a matter of breaking laws. And in my opinion, right now, we're seeing that type of thing happening, that those decisions being made at the top by the president are not consistent with laws that protect the citizenry in general. So, we were really into the law. And one of the things that kept them engaged was, I said, listen, there is a movie that I saw when I was a kid that told the story. It told about how kings used to own all the game and the fish, and that people were starving, and even if they tried to go out and kill a deer or something, they would get killed and be punished be killed for killing the king's deer, even though the people were starving and the king had plenty to eat. And so I said, that movie is about a guy named Robin Hood. And so I said, hey, do you want to watch the movie? They said, yeah, let's watch the movie. So we found it, and we were able to rent it, actually. The Disney version, of course, they opted for the Disney version. And I think we'll go back and revisit some other versions. There's, of course, the most recent revisionist history version of it, and the version back in 1938 is just a classic movie version. So anyhow, you can see how crawdad fishing can start linking to a whole lot of things, law and history, in this particular case. So I hope that inspires you. You don't necessarily have to, you don't have to do anything that I say. But if it inspires you to think of other things, maybe crawdad fishing is not what interests you, but everything. If you focus in on something that's essential, like food, like in this case, crawdads, it will ultimately link to probably everything in the universe, or everything in the known universe that's worth knowing or needs to be known. So anyhow, that is the first inspiration here. A little bit long, but we're under 10 minutes. Hope you can enjoy, and there will be hopefully future installations on units within the Crawdad curricula, which fall under the heading of metagalactic curricula, which we can visit at some future time. Okay, be well. Yes, be well and prosper. A couple of challenges in these current times, but be well and prosper. Bye.